What was normal 20 to 30 years ago, but is considered a luxury now? Items not requiring a subscription each month. Good quality fabric and clothing. I have clothes from the 90s and 80s from my mother that still hold up today. These days, I'm lucky if my shirt isn't saggy and misshapen within a year. Getting things repaired instead of buying new. Privacy. Farmers markets. You used to be able to go down and get fruit and vegetables cheaper than the grocery store. Now it seems like they charge 3x more than stores do. Not being expected to be reachable 24/7. Single income families buying a home. New furniture made out of real wood. Being left the fuck alone. Buying something and just owning it. Playing a video game without an internet connection. Not having to provide your email address for every single fucking thing you do. Being able to afford having only one person working in a relationship. Calling a company and getting a person on the other end of the phone. Edit. Thanks for the awards, kind people. I really didn't expect this to blow up like this. Bullshitting your homies on the playground. Had this revelation last week when talking to my nephew. His friend told some blatant lie, I guess, 9-year-old, and everyone pulled out their brand new iPhones to Google his lying ass. Remember when someone would say something and you just believed them? Even if you didn't. You were in for an hour-long argument on how it wasn't possible for Marilyn Manson to remove his ribs to suck his own dick. It is a luxury because it takes either credit or popularity to just be believed these days. Shit. I doubted half my professors just because they were old. A single-family detached house. Owning the software you purchased. I remember as a kid. Where I lived they would allow people to just visit an area of the airport from where they could see the runway and flights take off. They didn't have to pay anything for it. People would spend hours just looking at flights take off and land. Red heart. Edit. To everyone saying this is still doable in many parts of the world, that's great. I haven't been to those parts of the world yet, and where I come from one would still need to pay a certain amount to get in and watch from a glass cabin or so. Back in the day, there would just be a gate on the airport ground. A small barricade where you could just stand for hours and nobody would bother. Retirement plan built into your job. Getting a handwritten letter. Legroom on an airplane. Family vacations. I remember going on road trips regularly and even flying once or twice as a kid. Now that I have kids, there's no way I can afford a week-long trip to the Badlands. Grand Canyon. Disney, Universal Studios, etc. Best I can do is a day trip to the Dells maybe once a year. Pork belly. Used to be a bad cut of meat that was disposed of or given to the poor for dirt cheap prices. Then rich people realized that the poor made it delicious, which then caused prices to skyrocket. Being able to buy a decent standard home on one modest salary. Leaving your family behind to start your life at 18 or even younger. Now, folks be living with their parents until they're 45. Saving up for 100 square foot closet that costs $2,000 a month in what barely passes as not a slum. A company-funded pension plan in the private sector. My wife's grandmother retired from one of our local health insurance companies over 30 years ago with a full pension. She's 91 and still receives her pension. Although the insurance company was acquired by a larger organization a few years back. It's a modest pension, but it allows her to live a comfortable and independent life. Nowadays, companies only offer 401k or similar retirement plans. Outside of education, government. Very few private sector companies offer pension. I'm fortunate enough to be employed by one that still does. Paying no more than 30% of your income in rent. Word used to be just installed with your Microsoft software. Now you have to pay each month per year. Games that released mostly complete, stable. Games that didn't have microtransactions. Games that are not live service garbage that dies less than a year later. Games that you unlock content, cosmetics through actually playing the game. And not by excessively grindy progression systems, to entice you to buy XP boosts, i.e. time skips, or by microtransactions. Avoiding people by simply not answering the landline phone. This would make the person calling assume you are just not home. We introverts no longer have this luxury with cell phones. Texting. Online status when logged into a PC so coworkers can IM you. Etc. Being able to go out every Friday after work and being able to afford it. Concert ticket prices. Affordable healthcare. Photographs on actual photographic paper. I know it's still possible but oh so rare. Going to the doctor. I'm 28, but even when I was a kid you could go to the doctor when you were sick or hurt. Now I won't go to the doctor unless I'm dead. A yearly family vacation out of the area lasting 4 to 10 days. Lots of people are saying owning a house, but owning anything is at this point with how much subscription services are pushed. Your kid's not getting shot at school. Is society sick? Or are we just hyper-aware of stuff that's fucked up now? Nothing 30 years ago the stores were empty. So even if you had money, you needed connections to get what you wanted. You needed access to the black market for dishwasher liquid. Chocolate and oranges were Christmas presents for almost every child born in the late 80s, and bananas were such a luxury when they started appearing year-round. People were acting like they're insane when they saw them. If you wanted to travel, you needed to apply for visas for literally everywhere. 30 years ago life was a horror show. Now, you don't even need a passport to travel to almost 40+ countries, just pack your shit and go. Vacation in Greece? Start the car and you'll be on the beach in 4 hours. Venice Carnival? No problem. Just get the plane tickets while they're cheaper than the petrol to the airport. Not getting filled up at airports. House ownership and being debt-free. Everyone has accepted debt as parts of their lives. Edit. Typo. Living without a roommate. Having your own row on an aircraft. $1.15 average per gallon gas prices in the 90s. Boredom. There's always something to take your attention nowadays. There's literal lifetimes of entertainment on a single streaming service. Phones. There's tons of free and cheap games that can just eat hours of your time. Social media. YouTube. Etc. 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 20 to 30 years ago. If there was nothing you wanted to watch on TV, you either sat through it or found something else to do. Games had to be bought in stores. So it was more of a process buying them. Once you had them, you committed to it or bought a new game. Sometimes there was just legitimately nothing to do. You had to get creative with your downtime. Make your own fun. Meals on domestic flights. Right now, I'm struggling just to own a dog. Decent dog food is insanely expensive right now. Dog parks are not for every dog. But they're the only space to let your dog play if you don't have a yard or can't walk due to the pavement being too hot, providing the park has shaded areas and water access. Which is hit or miss. Vets keep raising their prices to keep up with inflation, which is making it so much harder to keep up with basic care. Same with licensing. Quality dog toys are at least $20 and often don't last as long as I would like, except Monster K9 and King Chew. Very well worth it, for my heavy chewer. Grooming is costly. Flea and tick protection is costly. Treats are costly. Everything about owning a dog is so much more than it used to be. Even though canine care wasn't as quality as it is now. Heck, my first dog didn't cost this much to care for and he was a frequent flyer at the vet for his health issues. Ooh, I love this game. Having a hot tub. Having a boat. Also, having one boat for lake fishing and another for sea fishing. Having one working parent and one parent staying home with the kids. A 4-bedroom house on a lake in the countryside. Having a game room, or playroom, in your house. Having a bar with a pool table in your basement. A home-cooked meal every night. Also, getting most of your veggies from the garden because one of your parents has enough free time to spend most of the day gardening. Situations where the parents take random classes in geology or calligraphy or whatever. Just to get out of the house because they're bored and have too much time. Every adult in the family has their own car. And sometimes one adult has a project car. Having shopping or home improvement as a hobby. Just buying a bunch of new stuff because you can't think of anything else to do. I grew up lower middle class in the 90s. And we had all of these things. My dad made $28 to $32K depending on the year. And my mom stayed home. The biggest difference was the sheer amount of free time everyone had. Edit. The biggest thing I personally miss from that era was the culture of taking classes or going to school just because you want to learn something cool. One time my mom took a 6-month course on how to make those glass signs with neon gas. For no reason other than because they're cool. Another time she learned how to weld. And there was a solid 2-year period where she and a bunch of her friends from the PTA took finance, economics courses at a community college just for fun. My aunt got a master's from RISD when she was in her 60s just because she wanted to. About a year ago I signed up for a course in auto mechanics just because I think cars are cool and wanted to know more about how they work. And the guy teaching the class was really weirded out and didn't let me join because I didn't want a career as a mechanic. This whole education is for a job only thing is really weird to me. A pension you could retire on. Annual vacations. A house. Union. Affordable education. And the middle class. Household products that didn't break within the first few years of use. My grandma had the same fridge from 1993 for a good while before deciding to switch to a newer, bigger one 2 years ago. Yes, it broke within those 2 years. My mom's wedding cookware is still going strong 25 years later. But whenever she needs new pans they start flaking Teflon into the food within a few months. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.